Good morning, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining our February 2024 session of Coffee and Quality. Um, if you are a first-time visitor to Coffee and Quality, welcome. We're so glad you're here. And if you're a returning visitor to Coffee and Quality, welcome back. So glad you came back. Today's session is really focused on things to consider when selecting an assessment tool. And we know we're all looking to see how can we measure our program, how can we measure our work. There's a lot of different tools out there, and so really excited to kind of give some guidance and consideration for that. If you haven't already, please introduce yourself in the chat, help warm that up. We really want to make this a space where you engage and you can grow your knowledge and learnings. So, okay, we'll jump in. Just as a friendly reminder, if you're a first-time visitor to Coffee and Quality, we really want to make this a space where everyone can share their experience, share their perspective, and grow and learn. So please, encourage you to participate, keep an open mind and open heart. You never know what you're going to learn or what you're going to hear from someone else that you can admire and acquire for your own work. So I hope you maintain that posture in this space. As well as this is a virtual space, there'll be some interaction, we'll have some activity today and then a share out. And so please, it's always an invitation, not an obligation to share. You can always say pass, but we really want to help encourage you to participate. It's just a little disclaimer about our ground rules here at Coffee and Quality. We also have more engagement outside of the session today. We have a Teams channel where we share resources just throughout the day, throughout the weeks in between sessions. So if you are not a member of that Coffee and Quality channel, please drop your email in the chat and we will make sure you get logged into that. There's quite a few other channels in our University of United Way of Greater Houston that you can engage with and kind of stay up to date on different resources. The team is always sharing great information through those channels. My other commercial is, if you haven't heard, Coffee and Quality is expanding. And so we're really excited about our upcoming expansion plans. And one of those expansion plans is really, we want to hear from y'all. We want to hear what your experience has been, both from coming to Coffee and Quality, but also in your own personal skills, as well as your organizational capacities. And so we've got a survey for y'all to do. This is very much my teaser to stay tuned at the end. Today, we're launching the survey today, and so we'll give you that code, that QR code, to share your feedback with us. Your feedback is a gift, and we want to use it to really form our expansion plan efforts and really help guide that work. So thank you all so much in advance for doing that survey for us. We'll have it out and open for folks to share their feedback from the whole month of February. So with that, those are two of my disclaimers, two of my little announcements before we jump into the session today. And so I'm honored to pass the mic over to Mingyu Liu. She's going to walk you through considerations for selecting an assessment. And so we're fortunate to have Mingyu as a part of our team. She's our senior program analyst.
Good morning, everybody. 1 second to share my screen. Can everybody see my slides? Yes, okay. Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for taking your time to joining today's session with us. So my name is, if we haven't met, my name is Mingyu Liu. I'm working under Jessica on her team. And also, I have been coming to Coffee and Quality since I first started working for the United Way of Greater Houston. And also, I think I was like part of the cohort last spring. So a lot of history, a lot of good experience with Coffee and Quality. And also, this is the first time me as a presenter here. So I really appreciate the opportunity, and I'm so glad we can do this together. And so today's topic, as Jessica mentioned, I'm gonna just share some tips, like experience, resources for picking an assessment tool. So first, I want to share a little bit background about why we're having this presentation, like where does all the content come from. So I see a lot of familiar faces here. So you'll probably remember like last April, we launched like whole network-wise survey to ask about like the collaboration for the ICJ network. So that was like the origin, like the beginning of this presentation about. So at that point, we were just about like 6, 7 months after we launched the program. We really want to see how it's going on because we have over 100 founded partners. They're all part of this new initiative, new network. So that's why we want to find a tool to really help us to understand how is the collaboration going. And so today I'm gonna just use that example to quickly show like how did we first like figure out what we want and then like search for a tool, do the comparison, pick one, and customization, all the fun stuff. And also, I want to quickly mention, yes, this is the first year, if this is the first one of the coffee and quality presentation this year. So I want to keep it light, keep it conversational. I know it can be a fun topic. Everybody needs a tool, assessment tool, like from time to time. So throughout the presentation, if you have any question, and if you want clarification on something, feel free to like just speak up, unmute, speak up, or you can share the question in the chat. Jessica can let me know, or she can answer it because basically we did the whole like process together, selecting the tool. And so here on this slide, I just want to quickly mention what we're going to cover today. So first, I want to just share a simple roadmap of finding assessment tool. Because when I was preparing for this presentation, I thought, yeah, I can talk about what we did, like a story, but for you guys to really like pick on something, to use it, maybe I can just summarize the steps from that process. So maybe you can remember it, maybe you want to use that step. And then after sharing the roadmap, we're gonna go to a breakout room activity as always, to talk about like to basically jump in a scenario. Like if you are tasked to like find a tool, how would you do it with a team, of course. And then last, I want to just share some like last tips and also like one more resources. So let's start going over our first session, first sector, which is the roadmap of finding an assessment tool. So right now, like you can see on the slide, the steps I shared are like fairly simple, fairly straightforward, right? First, you want to have a clear goal, like why do you need an assessment tool? Like what exactly are you trying to achieve, right? And then you do your research, finding what's out there. And then if you're lucky enough, you will find tons of tools and then maybe do a comparison according to your program needs, according to your own consideration. And then finally, you can make any customization to like make the tool more suitable for your need, for your like use. So pretty simple. Let's jump into the first step. So at the very beginning, here are a few questions you can ask yourself. Like first, do you really need an assessment tool? Like why? I know it may sound like a weird question, like why asking again, because a lot of time maybe we already have the data for it. For example, how is the program going? Are our programs doing successfully? That's one of the common questions we ask when we want to assess performance, right? But a lot of time we also have been collect data on that. For example, if you working on a program to provide basic needs, you probably already collecting data like how many clients you serve, and if it's rental assistant, how much money they get and how often they come back, some metrics like that. So you already have the data, and that data could be solid enough to help you assess like your program success. Let's say if your goal is like serve like 10 or 15 clients every month, and if you're hitting that goal, so yeah, you are doing great. And another thing to consider is that maybe in your department, maybe in your organization, some team out there, they are using an assessment tool to assess like similar program outcome. So before going out, like searching, doing all the hard work, maybe just ask around. People probably already using something similar. You can just adopt it, change it a little bit, and use it. So that's why I want us to like, before we jump in finding a tool, let's like rethink, regroup. Do we really need one? Can we just ask around first? And then another question you can really think about is what would you like to measure? Because measuring program success, it's a pretty good start, but I guess probably it's not like good enough yet because it's very general. We don't really know like how to start from there. So when we think about this question, we can start thinking about like a very clear, well-defined, like actionable goal. For example, going back to the basic needs program, you really want to see how the program is going. You can say something like, for the future for the future 3 months, maybe we want to hit a goal of serving 10 more clients, something like that. Or we want to really have a smoother process, something like that, to really make it clear and well-defined and maybe actionable, so you can actually collect the data to really show the progress. And then the last question maybe you can ask is that what kind of data would you like to collect? I'm not gonna lie, I'm a researcher with a quantitative background. So when I think about assessment tool, like always I'm thinking about survey, I'm thinking about like instrument to collect quantitative data. But you can do quantitative data and maybe you want to do an interview. So it really based on your needs. And if you really have the bandwidth, you want to do both, then yeah, you can develop a mixed method strategy and find the survey data and then maybe interview your target participants later. So having all these three like question like defined, have an answer for all of them can really help you like plan wisely, plan ahead for the follow steps. Yes. Any questions so far? No? Okay, nothing in the chat. Okay, so this is defining your goal first. And then a lot of time when we want to do something, it's probably somebody else already think ahead, right? So a lot of time, if we want to have an assessment tool, we can just go out and do the research first. And the first thing we need is usually have keywords. Like for example, for the survey we launched, United Way launched last year, we do want to do collaboration. We want to measure the collaboration among our funded partners. So collaboration clearly is a keyword we can use to do the research. And also having clear goal here can come very handy because maybe you don't know exactly what you want, exactly what kind of tool. But if you know like, oh, it's for a basic need program, it's gonna, for example, evaluate the client's satisfaction. with the whole experience. You can just search basic needs, client satisfaction survey to see like what is out there. And you will be surprised. People share all kinds of information online. So that could be a good way to do it. So the way we searched for the survey, the collaboration survey was through Google Scholar. So that's one of the way I really like to use, because that's really like Google is one of the most powerful search engines. You can really get your hands on all kinds of resources. And I like reading like published papers. So that tool just works really well for me. But if you're like, oh, I'm kind of new to evaluation, I think it's a great idea, but I'm not sure like exactly how I want to get started. So maybe use ChatGPT and use our little AI helper to help us get a head start. So here under the ChatGPT bullet points, I put a link here. So this link will take us to an example I quickly created last week. So like I mentioned, the scenario could be you are not like super familiar with like, for example, program evaluation or finding an assessment tool, but you really want to do it. And then this is how you can ask AI or ChatGPT to help. So usually when you like work with AI, it's good to start with like letting them know what role you want them to play. Like for example, here I told ChatGPT, you are a consultant and you have expertise in program evaluation. And so I need some help searching for like existing assessment tool for mental health screening, and help me with it. And then within a few seconds, ChatGPT can provide all the great resources here. And depends on how like well the prompt. So this is called prompt. So depends on how well, like how detailed the prompt is. ChatGPT can share some like really detailed, relevant information, but you still want to look through it to make sure ChatGPT is giving you what you want. So here you can see ChatGPT shared some like links, name of the data set. So very quickly, it could be a very good start. You can just go through one of them to get some idea, and later on like develop from that. Does anyone have any question maybe about this ChatGPT example? You find it helpful, or yeah? Okay, yeah, it's really simple to use. And also I'm gonna share like all my slides later. So if you want to go in, check the prompt example again, or see the response from ChatGPT, you have it ready. Here is my slide. And another way to search for existing tool is to really ask the consultant. If you have the bandwidth, if you find a consulting firm to do a pro bono, or you have the funds, you have the resources to hire them, do it, because they are the experts. They have the knowledge, they have the training, and they probably have worked with a lot of clients with a lot of need. So for sure, they can definitely help you with like maybe planning the whole thing, and also definitely finding a tool for you guys. And let's see, no question. Okay, let's moving on to, here are a little bit like additional resources for you guys to use. I know especially for like mental health and healthcare, there are a lot of like existing tools out there. They're very specific, like if you want to measure client's mental health condition. There are tools for adults, for children, for teenagers. A lot of very good, powerful tool out there. So here, just a few like additional resources for you. Again, I'm gonna share it after the presentation. And then let's moving on to step 3. So compare and pick a tool. So our experience with the collaboration survey was that collaboration clearly is a studied topic, and there were like so many great tools out there. So what we did was just to really have to pick out the one we're really interested, and then select one of them based on the feature of different tools, and also based on our own condition, our own consideration, and then really just compare and decide. And so for the feature of different tools, you can think about how long. Some tools they are very comprehensive, but it can be long. It has 50 questions. So maybe if you want to do a quick turnaround evaluation, that might not be your best option. And then maybe the structure you want to measure. For collaboration, it's a well-studied topic. So a lot of researchers found different structure, different area under collaboration. So it depends on how robust you want your tool to be. You can pick a really robust tool, measuring different aspects, really showing a structure, or you want to do something really simple. That really depends on your consideration, your program needs. And also, like I mentioned earlier, some tools, they are very specialized, especially for mental health. You want something for adults, you want something for children. That's another consideration. And last but not least, how do you want to utilize and implement? For example, you want to collect some data to show, for example, collaboration, and it's not only for you, your board, your whole organization wants to learn about it. So maybe collecting quantitative data, showing the results through a visualization can be easy. Or you want to really, for example, doing interview to learn about client's experience, and then using collecting qualitative data, collecting feedback, and really improve based on it. Maybe that can be your best choice. So it really depends. And again, for your consideration, if you have a clear goal already, that can really come handy. If you have decided, okay, I need to show the results, or I need to show the progress, because I want to administer the tool recurrently, every 5 months, every year. So maybe quantitative data is a better choice. And then again, just mentioned, if you really think ahead how you want to present your finding, how you want to implement based on what you found, all those considerations can be helpful when you pick a tool. And then you just compare and decide. And I know the last component is kind of hard to describe because it's so very depends on different situation. And that's why we have a breakout room discussion designed for it. So it can give you guys a taste of oh, what I'm gonna do under this situation. Yes. After I finish this slide, we're gonna go to the breakout room activity. And so step 4 is compare with the first 3 steps. This step can be relatively easy because at this point, you probably have your tool picked already. So the hard lifting has done. And now you just need to make the tool like more suitable for your needs. For example, in the water survey, the survey language was very generic. So we want to have the tool really align, really show like this is for the ICJ network. So we changed the wording a little bit to make sure ICJ shows up in almost all the questions. And then you can add new question or definitely add an opening statement. If you want to let your target participants know this is for you guys to participate. What is the purpose of this assessment tool? And also maybe you want to ask about their name, but usually assessment tool are anonymous, so maybe not name the agency you are working with, or like your title, for example. So based on your consideration and based on your needs, you can add additional question. And then another example could be taking out like irrelevant question. Like for the water survey, we had total, I think 44 questions, like in the original questionnaire, but it was really, really long. And some of the questions, they were not like quite relevant. So we took a few of them out to make sure the surveying process wasn't that painful for like participants, because 44 questions is like a lot. So that's that's all the steps we went through together when we pick out the broader collaboration survey. And now we want like all of us to use this link to go to our breakout room activity today. Does anyone have any issues with the link? Feel free to post in the chat, like if you need help, you can't see it. Everybody good? Okay, I see some head nodding, so you guys are able to access the slides, right? Okay, the activity slide. Yeah, so today's breakout room activity is really to experience, like compare and decide. So here is the purpose of the activity, and follow the old tradition. Can I have a volunteer to read the purpose of the activity? You can just unmute yourself. Go ahead.
All right, sorry. Yeah, I can do it. A purpose of the program evaluation team, each subgroup is assigned the responsibility of selecting an assessment tool to measure collaboration within specific scenario. After conducting thorough research, each subgroup is now tasked with deciding between two tools for their respective scenario. The object is to carefully consider the unique tools of the program and the intended purpose of collaboration assessment within the assigned scenario. Each subgroup should select one tool at least and provide a clear explanation for their choices, outlining how it aligns with the specific requirements and objectives of the collaboration assessment in their designated scenario. Do you want me to read tips as well?
Sure, go ahead.
All right. First one, to aid in decision-making process, the factors to be considered have been provided in a table under each scenario. Please use it for the decision-making process and explaining your choice to the group. Number 2, you don't need to read all the questions in the assessment tools.
Thank you so much, Alexandra.
Of course.
Yeah. So yes, really, this activity just to give you a taste of like if you have like two options, two like assessment tools to like assess something based on the scenario, how can you do it, what do you want to do? And so the discussion time will be like 15 minutes. And as Alexandra mentioned in the tips, there will be a table like this to like guide you. I mean, obviously, this is not the most comprehensive list when you to consider when you pick the tool, but I just picked this few questions to like help you guys to decide. And also one of the tool, like it's very long, like it's a welder. It has like 44 questions, so you don't need to read through all the questions. I just put it out there for you to like take a look. And before we jump into the breakout session, I want to just quickly go over the tool to give us a head start so you don't need to read through them yourself. So the first one is the welder collaboration factors inventory. This is a really like powerful, like comprehensive tool, assessment tool to measure collaboration. So as you can see here, it has 44 questions total, very comprehensive. And it measures 6 dimensions of collaboration, like environment, membership, characteristics, process, communication, purpose, and resources. And also through this tool, like only quantitative data will be collected. And then let's just take a quick look. Yeah, so this is the welder collaboration factors inventory. And you can see it's very clear, very straightforward. It's a survey. We have all the questions. Here are the choices. And really through this tool, you can only collect quantitative data unless you want to take a step further to like interview additional participants. But the way we use this tool was to administer it anonymously. So that wasn't even like an option. So this is one of the options you guys can pick for your scenario. And before I move on to the next one, does anyone have any question regarding this tool? Like any additional information you wanted to provide? I think we're good. I'm not hearing anybody asking anything. Okay, so this is one of the tool. And the other one is this strategic alliance formative assessment rubric. Let's just call it SAFAR. And so this is a tool like designed to assess collaboration initiatives. And it measures the strength of collaborative efforts quantitatively and qualitatively over time. So this tool is a little bit different from welder, right? So for welder, for most case scenario, you can only collect quantitative data, but this tool you can collect both. And then you can see this tool is also pretty powerful. It measures 5 level of collaboration or integration. And so here, a little bit instruction. So the quantitative data will be collected through worksheet and rubric. And the qualitative data can be collected through the conversation based on the data results. So what does it mean? And we can learn more about it through clicking on this link, going to this rubric. So this is basically the worksheet for the SAFAR assessment. But how do we use this? It looks like confusing, right? But if you scroll down a little bit, here is a rubric. So basically, the way you use your tool, to use this tool is to go through this rubric together to see for different categories such as purpose, how would you like score your collaboration with another team, for example. And then you can have your score, like added them together and divided by 4, I think. And then you can put your score here. For example, you are group 1 and you want to measure your collaboration with group 2. So after having the rubric, the score number based on the rubric, you add them together and divide by 4. So you have an average score. You can put it here. And then you can see, like, for column C, it means current collaboration status. And then you can revisit this tool with your partner, with your group 2 partner in, let's say, 2 months or 3 months. And then you go through this rubric again, have the number total and divide by 4. And then you put your new number here. So through comparing like current number and future number or desired average number, you can use this tool however you want to do to measure the collaboration or integration over time. I know this tool can be a little bit complicated to use, and I hope I explained it clearly. But does anyone have any questions regarding this tool? I know you guys are probably still reading that, right? So you don't have to read through all of this. It's a lot of reading. Just want to give you an idea of like how like the different assessment tool are different from each other. So for water, we use it to collect quantitative data, and for software, you can use to collect qualitative and quantitative data. And water is very long, comprehensive, but kind of lengthy, and software is like relatively short, can be a good conversation starter. So if you guys don't have any questions, then let's start our breakout room session. And remember, I'm gonna ask each group to share your decision and share your logic. So like try to find a volunteer to want to like share the results during the sharing session. Okay, so Jessica, do you have the breakout rooms?
I do. I have the breakout rooms ready. Excuse me. There was one question in the chat menu, and just to clarify, so when they get in their breakout rooms, which I've labeled the breakout rooms. So, group 1 is slide 5, and then group 2 is slide 6, and so on. Just to clarify for you, Mingyu, is the group deciding which of the 2 tools to select or to use for the activity?
Yes. For example, you, me, Alexandra, we're in like group 1. So we talk together, like we review the scenario together, and we pick a tool together. Yes.
Awesome. Okay, great. Alrighty, well, that was the only question that was lingering. I've got the breakout rooms locked and loaded. You are randomly assigned, very Harry Potter style, into a room for your discussion. And so we'll see y'all on the other side of 15 minutes. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you all so much for engaging in the activity. I know the activity can be challenging. You're thrown into a Zoom room with folks that are not in your organization, and it's like, here's this scenario, go. And so it was just like a shot of espresso to try this out. Like, you're selecting an assessment tool. Like, what should you consider? How do you pick this? And really kind of having that conversation with folks. It's really about going through that experience to help bring this back into your work, back into your reality. And so hope you had a good conversation there. And thank y'all for playing along with the activity. So Mingyu, you're up.
Yeah, again, echo Jessica. Yeah, it's a pretty hard challenge, I guess. So let's hear from like group one. And can I have someone from group one like first like read the scenario and then share?
I can read the scenario.
Thank you.
Recently, your executive director has observed that the programs within your organization are operating in silos and wants to implement some changes. As a member of the evaluation team, you've been tasked with assessing the collaboration among 6 programs. Your goal is to determine how well these programs are working together, identify any lack of interaction, and pinpoint areas for improvement. The assessment tool will be administered to the 6 program managers. And your plan is to administer the survey at the beginning and end of the upcoming fiscal year.
Thank you, Linda. And group one, what is your which tool did you pick and why?
We picked the Software Alliance assessment. And we picked it because there's 6 program managers, and since it asks specifically to identify any lack of interaction between program managers, we thought that it might be it at least gave you the ability to break it apart.
So do you mean to at least help them have a conversation, or could you elaborate a little bit more?
And I think, go ahead. I think we just felt like it might help us to assess how like each of the 6 felt like they could rate the different elements of communication within the 6 different programs, between the 6 different programs. And it would give us that, it's kind of tailored to measuring those components over time. So visiting at one point and then revisiting at another. And since we had already determined that we wanted to do this at the beginning of the fiscal year and then twice a year, that we felt like it was well suited for that.
So that makes sense.
Yeah, I love that point. And like the piece that y'all pulled out was who's doing this? You have your program directors, your program managers, that's who's going to complete this assessment tool. And so taking that in consideration when you're picking your assessment tool. Imagine that in the real world where we have teenagers who are going to complete this assessment tool compared to older adults, compared to, everybody who comes into our program, right? And so having that audience member in mind really helps make sure you're like matching and aligning. So it's like a good fit, because then you're going to get the data and then you can analyze it and measure the work you're doing. So that's a really great note to lift up. Thanks, y'all.
Yeah, thank you, Jessica, and thank you, Linda and Amanda, for sharing the results, sharing your like thought process. So any like last comment, like anyone want to add additional comments from group one?
I think our only confusion, at least, and I expressed it, so it may not be the only confusion, but the confusion I had was that like, would you have each of the 6 program directors do the assessment? Like, so say I'm program manager 1. Do I then do this assessment for program 2, and then with program 3, and then with program 4, and then with program 5? Because my ratings might be different based on the different program that I'm thinking about, or would I just do it once and lump everybody together as a whole and rate it that way? That was something that nobody got to answer me really, because we ran out of time.
Thank you for the question. Yes, so I think the purpose of this tool is to have a pretty comprehensive discussion. Like that's why they listed all the options here. Like if we have 6 programs, staff from program 1 would like to, like the manager will like talk with the rest of the program to see like maybe they have a great collaboration with program 2, but with programs 3 and 4, maybe the collaboration is like not as often. So ideally, you would use this tool to like have a conversation among each other. Yes. Did I answer your question, Linda?
Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica, would you like to add something to Linda's question?
That it is a good question. I think that's always great to get clear about that at the beginning of how you're going to do that. And so for a tool like this, where there is some kind of evidence behind that cadence, that frequency, you want to kind of follow that guidance. I also like to bend things to my will. And so, you know, what fits right and works right for your work and your program and your directors, and having that intentionality when you bend things to your will, because then you have that as like, this is why we did that. And you have that laid out. And so then that just helps to kind of clarify when you get into that, like measuring that side of the work.
Thank you. And with that, let's move on to group 2. I think group 2 has the same scenario with group 1, so we just need one volunteer from group 2 to share the tool you picked and also maybe like share the logic. Nobody from group 2?
I do see some friendly names in group 2 that I could call on. I could just call on a Kristen, because there's a couple of Kristen. Oh, look, Alexandra's taking it for y'all. Thank you.
What I'm here. So I honestly I should have asked. So sorry, Minky, about the safer formula. I should have asked about that because I didn't catch it, and then we all didn't catch it, and so we're like, what? So ultimately, what we wound up going, even though I put the in the notes, just for next time, we ultimately went with the WELD survey because it's only twice a year. I determine the collaboration among your programs are working together. So a lot of it, and that's what the welder is. If you go up to, let me jump up real quick. Yeah, especially communication is a really important one. And so the types of data to collect, as we said, the environment, membership, process, communication, and purpose, resources, and the frequency be twice, beginning at the end of the year. And the range size is 6, so it's not that bad when you do something with a long survey sort of welder, pick and choose what works for you, bend to your will, as Jessica says. And then how to use it, we went with the SOAR method, right? Looking at the Likert scores, where how they're doing, and looking for areas, possible to grow, right? Areas to grow, and seeing how we can improve.
Thank you, Alessandra. Yeah, that's a great way to approach this. And yes, even later, when you do actually gonna use this survey, you can do this what we did United Way here, like we cut the questions, the relevant questions, to make it even shorter. And then also, if you want to say like, not only administer this to managers, but maybe staff from different level, then this survey you can put it in forms and share with like a larger group of people. So yeah, thank you for that. And then just last call, like I think Alexandra did a great job explaining. Any additional comments or maybe questions from group 2 before we move on?
I really appreciate groups too, like how you would use this data. I think it's important to be really clear about, the audience, the why you want to collect this information, right? As you're selecting your assessment tool, and then you hit that, and she'll continue to lay that point down for y'all. But what are you going to do with this is like such a point too. Like, let's not collect information just to collect information. And so the SOAR, kind of the more appreciative, strength-based approach to the SWOT analysis, is a great way of how you could use that information. So thanks for lifting that up, group 2.
Thank you, Jessica. And if nobody from group 2 wants to add additional question, comments, let's move on to group 3. So for group 3, the scenario is slightly different. So can I have a volunteer from group 3 to like read through the scenario, and then same or different volunteer to share your like the tool you picked and also like the reason behind it.
I can read it, but I will say group 3 went a little bit rogue because we didn't realize that we were picking between 2 assessments and we designed a separate assessment. So I'm sorry for that. We just were like, okay, let's go. And then I went back through and I was reading it and I was like, oh, Wilder would have made sense for this, but that was not a group decision. That was just reading it. So our scenario was very similar, that the programs are operating in silos. And so we're tasked to assess collaboration between 2 programs, and our goal was determining how programs work together, identify lack of interaction, and pinpoint areas for improvement. The assessment tool will be administered to the 2 program managers, and the results will serve as a conversation starter as you plan to reevaluate and facilitate conversations every month over a 6-month period. Would you like me to explain Wilder or to talk about what our group talked about instead?
You can talk about both. I would love to hear both.
Okay. I would say Wilder looked like a good assessment for this just because it's qualitative, it's explicitly meant to facilitate conversation, it's a lot more open-ended, and since you're giving it to program managers instead of direct service staff, they can talk about how their teams are working. Does anybody else want to talk from our group? I don't want to, I'll leave a second, teacher pause. So we talked about the value of using actually an assessment towards direct service staff that was much shorter than any of these assessments. And the if anybody's taken, there's an online lean data course that's really fantastic that talks about like these really micro rapid assessments. And so we talked about a Likert scale of I understand the services provided by other team, and then I can go to the other team for support with clients when needed. And then it just a yes, no of I've collaborated with someone on this team in the last 6 weeks. And if you could do that every 2 months with in between meetings and conversations about what needed to happen to facilitate better collaboration between teams. I think Tiffany described it as team cross-functionality. That over time you would hopefully see scores improving. And also if you weren't seeing scores improving, the beauty of having a really short assessment, if you're saying you want to do improvements over a 6-month period, people aren't going to do a 15-item survey every month, but they might do a 3-item survey every month. And so just really using a rapid assessment technique there.
Thank you so much, Sarah, and thank you, like group 3 members. I really like the thought process you guys had to really think it through, like the audience, the frequency to administer the survey, and also like how you want to use the survey, maybe as a conversation starter and stuff. But I think Sarah, when you describe the whole like thought process, I feel like maybe you were describing SAFAR instead of Wilder. Like Wilder is the long one. SAFAR is the like a shorter one, like you can use it as a conversation. But I really like overall love the thought process. Yes, if you want to like use it as a conversation starter, or you want to like over a short period, you want to reevaluate the results pretty frequently, yes, a shorter survey would be like much more ideal than a long one with 44 items. So yeah, I love it. And Jessica, do you have additional comments?
No, I really appreciated that they went rogue. I think sometimes that can help lead you down a pathway, and like real world, this leads you down a pathway to find the right tool, the right fit for what you're doing. And Sarah, always with the great resources. So I did ask if she'll share that stuff in the channel, just for folks for future reference. So thanks, Sarah, in advance. Hopefully you have a moment to do that. But yeah, it was really great to hear that. So thank y'all for diving into that conversation.
Yeah, so with this time limit, let's move on to group 4 then. So group 4 has the same scenario with group 3. So I just need a volunteer from group 4 to tell us what tool you picked and also the reason behind it.
I can do that because, anyway, I can do that. One of the things that we talked about was actually that the Wilder survey would have been done first to get where we are now, because it would be like an overall thing that you would probably administer to the entire agency to get their input, and then assign the two managers to look at the two areas or all the areas that needed to be addressed, and then they could use the Sapphire scale to then reassess where we are now as we go to every month, because it's a monthly survey and you really don't want to do 44 questions every single month. So and the Sapphire scale is determining where you want to be and then are you there. So where you might be is a 1 and then where you want to be is a 4. So you really need to get to where you want to get over time. So you really want to talk to each other about that and then put it throughout the agency to make it work and more efficiently. Hey, Naomi, did that sound good? Okay. Shauna, and
You got it, Allison. You
Thank
got
you.
it.
So that's how we, so everything we just pulled all the answers out of the paragraph itself to determine the different areas, but that was how we thought it would go.
Thank you so much, Allison. Thank you so much, Gupur. Yeah, that sounds like a very solid plan to me. Yeah, let's use the Wilder to level set, maybe even like the whole organization can do it. So we have like a broader picture about like how collaboration is going. And then having the two managers talk about like using Sapphire to talk about like which area we want to hone in to really use the time to work on. I love that approach. Great job. And additional comments, Jessica?
No, I appreciate that one as well. I think that's, I was kind of thinking that whenever Sarah was talking about what group 3 came about, and sometimes maybe because this is internal, so it's staff time trying to really understand like how to adjust, how to respond to silos and how to get that in a better spot. Having two approaches, having two ways to measure that sometimes is worth the like assessment time on that. So you can really get this like robust understanding from it. And so I appreciate that. And again, there's that like, let's talk about it. Let's have that have these considerations. So then you have your best plan forward for what you're wanting to measure.
Thank you, Jessica, and thank you for all your participants, because I know like it can be tricky. When I planned this, I thought, yes, it should be easy, but I forgot that I know this service already. So, but thank you so much again for still like taking your time, working together to get it done. Good job, everyone. And so let's just go back to the slide to like finish up. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry guys, let me just open it here. Just give it a few seconds. I'm sorry, this is not the right version. While I'm like finding my slides, open it up. Does anybody have any?
I got
questions?
Mingyu, I'll share a slide for you.
Oh, thanks. Okay. I'm sorry, I made some last minute changes and I found the slide. Can I share again? I'm sorry. Thank you. Yeah, so thank you guys again for like doing this with me with the 3-column activity. I know it wasn't like planned as smooth as I thought, but hopefully it gave you a taste to like really like experiencing, yeah, you maybe have a short time period to make a decision, and this is what you got. So yeah, you guys all did a great job. And then just a few last tips to share and one additional resources. So a few things to keep in mind. Like I know like finding a tool, do evaluation, do assessment sometimes it sounds easy, but it can be complicated. It can be a little bit intimidating, especially like if you have never done it before. But just remember, you are the expert of your work. You know what you do, and you do it every day. For example, like when we do the find a survey for collaboration measurement, we went through a lot, finding all the tools available, and then we really go through it. We think Walder is really the one to measure the things we want to measure because the network is large, so we really wanted a robust tool and can measure collaboration on different level. So even though none of us are like experts in the topic of collaboration or program evaluation experts, we still manage to like get it done. So be confident, you got this. And also have a thought partner. Collaboration, evaluation can involve a lot of people, right? So maybe have a thought partner internally from your group, from your department, from your organization. Or if you have resources outside, like you know someone with program evaluation expertise, ask them. It's you will be surprised. People are usually full of great ideas. They will definitely help you make the decision you want. And then last but not least, really plan ahead. I think for the Wilder collaboration survey, we thought maybe we can get it done, like find a tool, administer maybe within like 1 month or 2 months. But we ended up spending 2 months researching because we all have other jobs to do. None of us are like true experts only doing evaluation. So if you want to do something big, do something serious, plan ahead to leave yourself enough time to search, do the consideration and think it over. And if you have the bandwidth, just maybe do a pilot to test it out. And also, I cannot emphasize this enough, use it. You work so hard, you collect the data, don't let it just sit in one file, like forget about it. You work hard, your participants work hard. So use that data to do improvement, to do future planning. Remember to use it. And then the last resources is, do you mind sharing the link, Jessica, in the chat? Thank you so much. So I know we talked about picking a tool, but if you really think, okay, I didn't find anything I want to just make a quick survey, build something my own, here is a really good resources for you to like consider. So in these resources, it explains the things that you want to consider when creating items for interviews and questionnaires. They're pretty straightforward, but very good rules, very good principles. So if you need them one day, like download it, keep it aside, it will come very handy. So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you guys so much for being such a great audience. And now I'm open for Q&A. Any questions? Let me check the chat. You need to unmute yourself if you have any questions or if you want to share it in the chat. Or if you guys don't have any question at the moment, feel free to reach out to me in the future. I'm no expert in program evaluation, but I would love to be your thought partner. Okay, thank you guys. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mingyu. Yes, please reach out if you have questions. Everyone at United Way, especially in our learning analytics and compliance team, is happy to be your thought partner in this. We thought partner all day long with each other. And so always happy to have others join into that fun. So with that, thank you so much, Mingyu, for your presentation, for walking everyone through that. And thank you all so much as well for your engagement. As we mentioned at the beginning, we have some surveys for you. So you have about 8 minutes remaining before you need to run off to your next thing, since you're blocked until 10:30 with this coffee and quality. We have a data practices survey that we would love your insights information on. So there's the QR code, and then there's the tiny URL to do that. That'll take about 5 to 10 minutes. It's definitely kind of your personal skills and knowledge, and then your organization's skills and knowledge. And so we're really trying to look at this from 2 points of view. So we would love for you to do that survey. It'll be available for you to complete, others in your organization to complete between today and February 29th. We get an extra day because it's a leap year. Yay. So we'll do that, and we'll be emailing this out to several times. You will hear from us about this survey many, many times. The other, as always, we love your feedback, just your quick feedback on today's session. We have one coming up. Our next one is in May. And so that one, we're gonna have a special guest join us to present in May. And so we're excited to have her join. But more information to come on that. And this one, just make sure that we keep this, the content we're covering really relevant to y'all's work. So 2 surveys, I know, but it's good karma for you to do this survey. Someone will do your surveys as well. So with that, thank you for joining us today. And if you can take some time and do those surveys, we would really appreciate it. And we will see you at our next Coffee and Quality if we don't see you before then. So thank you all so much for joining.